range, and someplace like Des Moines makes $150,000 a year plus. So it's a pretty wide range. Small schools are on the low side, big schools are on the high side. So the average in this immediate area would be $110,000 to $120,000.
And what are the tough parts of your job?
Tough parts are making the tough decisions that unfortunately have to be made with the economy where it is. Right now we've got to look at a lot of financial considerations. We're fairly fortunate, very fortunate in fact, to have a pretty good reserve and not be a high spending district, but to limit expenses is one of the biggest problems that we have to watch, as well as trying to maintain and do the best you can with what money that you have. So that's probably the biggest issue.
And what do you enjoy about your job, and what?
Well, sitting down talking to you guys and being around kids and knowing that you're making a difference on so working?
It's
okay.
still,
All right. Knowing you're making a difference and charting the course for about 500 kids. We've got about 100 employees and 500 kids, so trying to coordinate and make that work as efficiently and as best we can is probably one of the biggest things I enjoy about it.
And how many years of college did you need?
Well, I started out as a teacher, and that takes 4 years of college. And then I moved into principalship, which takes another 2 years, roughly. And then to get the superintendent license or degree takes another 2 after that. So we're looking at a total of 6 years, and then you have to have ongoing classes as well to maintain things. So at least 6 years of college to be a principal. Time you're a superintendent, it takes 8. So 8 is the total to be a superintendent, minimum.
Okay. And what led you to this field?
Well, starting through teaching, I taught math and driver's ed, drove a bus route at a small school down in southern Iowa. So I started with that, became more interested in the management side of it and the leadership side of it as I taught 20-some years, and then moved into being a principal. So just hoping to have and being able to have an impact on more than just one classroom of kids or just the kids taking math and driver's ed is one of the big important things that led me to be a superintendent. As far as teaching goes, I've always enjoyed math. It was one of those easy topics. I had a cousin that was also went to UNI, and UNI is a very good teaching college, so when I went there that was certainly a consideration, and kind of helped me make my decision that way.
And do you think your job is in high demand?
Well, every school district has to have a superintendent, so there are at least 300 of us in the state of Iowa. If you follow the news at all, the legislature, or there's an action before the legislature to have one superintendent per county or some notion of that nature, which would reduce the number down to 100 roughly in the state. But I don't see that as a viable option. So I do think the job is going to be in high demand. Administration, whether it be superintendent or principal or assistant superintendent at the big schools, are always going to have somebody be in charge and work through that process.
Yeah. And last question, where can we find more information about your job?
Well, the School Administrators of Iowa is the professional organization that monitors and promotes and has information about that. I'd say Google for administration and would be another good place to find things. So it's available, or just interview somebody like we're talking about right now to kind of find out what it takes and exactly where you can go to the colleges. Any principal or any superintendent would be able to give you that information, as well as the colleges themselves.
Okay. Thank you for answering our questions.
You're very welcome. Thank you, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
What is your job?
I'm a high school language arts teacher.
What is the average salary of a person in your field?
It can range from 25, and depending on your education, it could go up to 45 to 50. Yeah, which is nice. I'm between 45 and 30.
That's good. You're a good teacher. What are the tough parts about your job?
I think probably the toughest parts are going to be the flexibility that's needed to go with the flow sometimes, and also being patient with students that otherwise you might want to tear their hair out, but you need to just smile and do what you can to take care of the problem.
Yeah, kids these days. What do you enjoy about your job, and why do you enjoy it?
I absolutely that are entertaining. I get to laugh every day at something, and I don't know, it's much better than sitting in a cubicle where you're answering phones and you don't have any interaction. I look at my classes, and not only do I get to entertain, I get to be entertained, and hopefully you guys will learn something along the way.
How many years of college do you need?
I was in college for 4 years.
What led you to be an English teacher?
When I was in 8th grade, my middle school English teacher, she was just awesome, and it seemed like she absolutely loved her job, and it really impacted me to want to become a teacher, because she actually cared about us as kids, not just, you know, she was a teacher so she had to care. It was, she genuinely cared, and that was something that really attracted me to wanting to become a teacher, because I could actually care for people and teach them something and be an impacting teacher because I can.
Do you think your job is in high demand, and why?
I think it's in high demand because you always need a teacher. I know some people are like, well, we could do online classes and then we won't need as many teachers, that kind of thing, but I don't know, I think it's much more, it's easier to follow a teacher if they're there in front of you, they can answer your questions and that kind of thing, rather than just an online thing. So I think it's in high demand.
Do you know where you can find out more information about your job?
About teaching?
Yeah.
You can probably research it. You can always just talk to a teacher, you can talk to a principal, you could, if you're curious about the education, you could always go to a university and talk to an advising professor for education.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
What is your job?
I'm a school nurse. There's about just under 500 students here at Collins Maxwell, and my job is to try to keep them here at school and try to keep them healthy.
What is the average salary of a person in your field?
The school nurse gets 85% of a teacher's salary, which ranges about $125,000 to $30,000.
Okay. What are the tough parts about your job?
The tough parts about my job is sometimes I feel really frustrated when I see students that may have a problem of some sort and it's something that I can't help with. I've maybe called parent or written parent. Say for instance, it's a student that maybe needs a pair of glasses and parents refuse to take him to the doctor to get the glasses, and that's those kinds of things are kind of frustrating for me.
What do you enjoy about your job and why?
The first hour, I teach a class that's called Health Occupations, and I really enjoy teaching that. So I would say that's probably the best part.
How many years of college do you need?
Okay, I started out as an LPN. I was an LPN for about 17 years. I went back to nursing school and got a degree and passed my boards. I'm an RN. And then in addition to that, the school asked me to teach the health occupation class, so I had to go back to school another time. I went back to Iowa State and got a degree in teaching, technical degree.
What led you into this field?
What led me into this field? I would say that I have always, I can't ever remember wanting to do anything else besides nursing. But when I was about 18, I kind of dabbled in something that was called a homemaker health aide, where you go into the homes of people who maybe just come home from the hospital and can't take care of themselves very well. And I used to go in their homes and help them bathe, get dressed, maybe fix a meal for them. And that was sort of my first experience in the medical field.
Do you think your job is in high demand and why?
I know that nurses are in high demand. However, I don't necessarily think that school nurses are in high demand. And I say that because with a lot of budget cuts, there are some places that are cutting out their nurses. Like in California, they don't have school nurses there because their budget and money goes for other things.
Where can you find more information about your job?
Boy, I'd sure look on the internet. You could probably call and talk to any school that has a school nurse, and I think most of the schools in the Story County area do have school nurses, so you could call and talk to them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.